Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at one of the event vehicles that is coming in for the next major event, and it's the LOSAT. It's probably the one that I've seen people most hype for, and to be honest, I've never really understood the hype, and we'll go through some of the factors why in this video. I feel like this thing is getting a little bit overhyped, kind of like stuff like the QM506 got, and a few other vehicles too. So what is the LOSAT? Well, it's basically a light tank chassis, the CCVL chassis, which is pretty mobile, generally has a good engine and is able to move around, and then on top of it, it has a turret which houses two people, and then also of course, LOSAT system itself, which fires the MGM-166A ATGMs. Now, these are incredibly high velocity ATGMs and also pen a lot. There's probably some of the best ATGMs in the game, which is, kind of nice. The gunner optics shows that you have a decent zoom on it, at least when it comes to the sight, so you'll be able to see stuff from miles away, but it also shows the sight FOV, which isn't great on the vehicle. Also, at the same time, one of the problems with the LOSAT is you can see here the turret rotation and the vertical guidance. That isn't technically true when it comes to these things. So it does have vertical guidance, but it comes from the optics. It doesn't actually come from the vehicle itself. So even though the turret's stationary, because the missiles follow the optics, that's how, the missiles are able to move. So don't worry about these two stats right now. You have a three-man crew, two in the turret, and then one in the driver's hatch. The missiles themselves are kind of interesting because, of course, they are ones which probably will, if they get hit, explode. So that is something you've got to think about. If they don't explode, then obviously this is good, but also at the same time, you can literally just shoot it in the center and it will just destroy everybody anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So you can shoot anywhere on this machine, apart from like maybe over here, and it will destroy it. So on this, just shoot center mass, it will die, whether you shoot it there, whether you shoot it here, and depending on how the ammo goes, you can even shoot it here. So survivability on the LOSAT is pretty much zero. So you've got to be the person to fire the first shot, which is fair. A lot of vehicles like at rank 6 10.3 are like that. It does have a 50 cal on the top, so that's good against helis. That's also good against light targets, which is nice. And let's have a look at its armor. It's the standard CCVL, so it has this like aluminium alloy on the top of it, which may ricochet some shells. The problem is, if it does ricochet, it will just ricochet them into the turret where the two people are, so it will just die. And then from the side, it has pretty much no armor at all. The turret itself has a lot of weird angles on it, and I've got a feeling that some rounds are going to get stuck. You see like this here and this, so it may hit this and then ricochet and then go down into here and disappear, kind of like how it does on French vehicles, so you've got to take that into account. And also, the turret ring is only 12.7 millimeters, so even heavy machine guns will be able to pen this turret ring, so that is kind of a problem. Modifications-wise, it doesn't get scouting, so it is just a straight-up anti-tank missile carrier. And also, you can see that the actual the modifications themselves, there are not a lot of them, and you need a lot of RP to be able to research through them. Luckily, you won't really need a lot of them to be combat effective. Obviously the horizontal drive is quite nice because you can get a percentage turret slow rate, which is plus 80% on zero is a fantastic feeling. But but I feel like this vehicle from stock should perform pretty much the same as it does spaded. You'll just be able to get to positions quicker, which will make it easier. The only ones is the NVD, of course, which it does have Gen 2 thermals, and then also you have the laser rangefinder, which seems kind of pointless for the ATGM carrier, but c'est la vie, we live in a bit of a weird world. It does have access to all of the nice camos that are for the late Americans, and I've got to say, a lot of them are absolutely stunning, so it's really good to see all of them turn up for this vehicle, and I'm wondering if there's any special camos that this one can get. But you can bring You can bring the missiles. You've got 12 of them overall. And let's just kind of show you why I feel a little bit odd about this vehicle. So first of all, you have 12 missiles and that's it. You don't get a reload, so you have 12 shots basically. Now they don't have a reload between them, so you can spam them if you want. So if you want to hit this target here, you can do this. If you want to hit this target here, you know, you can do that. And whatever target you're going to hit, it is going to blow up. Now the problem, as always with ATGM carriers, is the fact that if you're slightly off balance, the ATGM will fire into the ground, as it always does, so you have to aim above the target and then down, or you have to make sure that the thing is angled up, or what you can do is you can laser range find, and then it will still hit into the ground. So this is another one of those vehicles where the missiles themselves are actually angled down from the tube. So you can see what's happening, right? So you have to like aim up and then aim down, which is just really fun and really enjoyable. It's the same as the Mephisto. Like over a guaranteed distance, you'll be able to take out stuff, which is great. But also, if anything is close, you're just going to straight up hit the ground because you don't have the guidance time to be able to move it in, right? So you can see there, the missiles themselves are fast. They're really nice, and you're able to pretty much one-shot anything you can hit. They have 1520 meters per second of speed. They're beam riding, so they're not affected by the wire-guided ATGM changes. And also they have a launch range of 5 kilometers and pen quite a lot. 775, 654, 448. They did say in the devlog that these missiles would lose pen if you hit a target close to you, but I haven't seen that, so I don't know if that's the case. But if you stood still from here with no change to elevation on your vehicle, you can see you can just pop people, right? So if you're in a scenario where their whole team just decides to walk past you, you can annihilate them with this vehicle, and that feels really nice. But think about the amount of times where that actually happens. Also, looking at the actual turret itself, this is how far it can go behind you. So it does have horizontal drive, as you can see. So of course the stat card was lying, but it just can't go all the way around. So it's not a 360 one; it gets stuck on the engine deck, which you can see here. Like I can't push it this way. So take that into account. It does also have elevation and depression. Because of obviously the optic, it actually does have pretty good depression. That's how far it can go down. The problem with it though is you can see the actual vertical targeting speed is so slow. So moving the missile up and down while it's moving is probably not going to work too well, especially because of the speed of the missile and everything that's going on with it. And also because a lot of the time it just straight up shoots the missile into the ground. So you can see how much I have to guide it up for it to not hit the ground. It really has the Mephisto issue, and obviously the Type 89, I believe, issue. So the other thing is you can't fire on the move at all. So from 0 you can move, you can shoot. If you get your battle gear is 3 kilometers an hour. So anything past 3 kilometers an hour, you can't fire the missile. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy that, because, one of the things about high tier is mobility, and you won't be able to have any mobility in this thing if you actually want to use the missile. Also at the same time, you have vehicles like the CCVL, which are basically exactly the same BR as this thing, and have a better gun, can fire on the move, and can also scout. So it's just one of those wonderful situations. The reload on the ATGMs is going to take years as well, as you can see, so overall not too fun. So what are my actual thoughts about this vehicle? This is once again, just like the Key 48, this is what we call a highlight vehicle. So what you'll see is a bunch of videos over the next period of time, making this vehicle look really cool, right? You'll see it being posted on Reddit, you'll see it being posted on the forums, posted on YouTube, on Twitch even, and you'll see that, oh look, it can do all of these crazy, it can do all of this crazy damage to all of these vehicles, isn't that awesome? And it's like, well yeah, I mean it's kind of awesome, but think about it in an actual game scenario. So this vehicle has no survivability, It has a huge turret, which everybody can see. It doesn't have any scouting. It has the ability also for the ATGMs just to run into the ground if you're in a slight angle at all. See? Because the optic may move, but the actual turret itself doesn't move. So, depending on what your angle is, right, so if you're slightly angled down like this, the ATGM will just go straight into the ground because it won't be able to guide in time to be able to not hit the ground. So you are super limited on when you can actually fire this ATGM, and you cannot use it to like fire over stuff or do anything like that. So all I'm saying is this vehicle will not be as good as you think it is by what you've seen. You'll see a bunch of highlights of people getting 3 or 4 kills in really quick succession, but also at the same time you will not see all of the times where they just get murked, which is going to happen the majority in a vehicle like this, unless you are camping a specific spot, waiting for people to push, and then hammer them. Most tanks will just annihilate this thing at 10-3. They have thermals, they have APDS, and if they shoot anywhere on you, you just die. And yeah, and you have to wait. You have to guide your ATGM in while waiting for the stuff to go on. Overall, I think this vehicle, it has way more chance of going down in BR than it does of going up, or even staying at the BR that it's at. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Juan the Panda, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Bareen, Peter Grayling, Alan Hacker, Sem Alslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R, and also Lafouche for supporting the channel.